Hey everyone, Vincenzo Calla here. Welcome to episode 2 of Let's Discuss Politics. Today, I am glad to be joined by the Conservative candidate for Burlington, Emily Brown. Emily was born in Ontario to a military family, and Emily is a professor currently at the Pilon School of Business at Sheridan College in Mississauga, where she teaches mathematics. She has also worked as a math and science teacher in a Calgary elementary school, and she is a member of her community who volunteers her time to lots of causes, and she is currently running to be the MP for Burlington in the upcoming election, whenever that may be. So thank you, Emily, for joining me today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to speak with you.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. And we're going to start with our first segment, which is called Emily's Story, where we will talk about your political history. So, the first question is, when did you first get involved in politics?
Okay, well, I actually became politically aware very early in life. I'm the youngest of 4 children, so my siblings are all 12, 14, 18 years older. So I became part of adult conversations very early in life, and my parents and extended family were all conservative supporters. So I became politically aware of the differences and the parties and what my family's traditions and values stood for. Then at the age of 12, I became involved in sport shooting, and I became both a recreational and competitive sport shooter. And at some point early on, I realized that the policies of the federal government impacted how and if I could participate in my sport. And I thought, wait a minute, I need to know what's going on. So I know legislation, I know what my responsibilities are as a firearm owner and how the government's impacting that. So then I started working when I was in university. I worked at polling stations to earn a little extra money. I got involved in the process. I started working on campaigns in Calgary and then here, of course, in Ontario and in Burlington in the last 3 federal elections, and also, worked provincially when I was out in Calgary. So seems like forever. So, forever I've been politically involved.
Well, I feel you from the getting involved young. I mean, as a kid, I sort of always paid attention to the news. I don't know. I always liked paying attention to the news and seeing the different things happening and paying attention the 2014 election provincially.
Right.
So I would have been in grade 4. I would have been maybe 10 at that point, 10 or 11. So
Nice.
started paying attention. The past couple elections have been paying more attention, and now I'm getting involved in an actual campaign. So it's good to see people getting involved young like you are. And we'll talk more
Yeah.
about your sports shooting in top five
Yeah.
and five, where we'll talk about
Yeah,
your hobbies and
probably.
all that. So, but
Well,
definitely it's a hot issue for sure. And
when I was 10 years old, these are some weird memories I have. And one is when I was in kindergarten, the Governor General died in office. That tells you how old I am. You can look it up. But I remember we had to paint something in class, and I painted the picture of the Governor General's funeral. Obviously, I was watching it on the news. I was moved by the fact that this person, had died and he was important to the country. And the second thing I remember, when I was 10 years old, I had to do a speech. You had to construct your speech, and you were in these speech contests or public speaking contests. And my public speaking topic was the FLQ crisis. I was 10. So yeah, always involved politically, or always at least trying to learn more. So,
for sure. And now the second question is, why did you decide that you are going to be running for the position that you want to hold, which is MP for Burlington?
well, again, I've always been a conservative person, always been, following the party platforms, I guess. And I'm concerned that Canada is not in a place where it should be. I've never been more concerned. And, there was a time when, whether it was a liberal government or a conservative government, we could kind of tolerate each other and know that, really damaging things wouldn't happen. And so I'm more concerned now than ever. And so I'm ready to tackle this 5-point plan, the Secure the Future plan that the Conservatives have set out. And I have a broad base of experience that really all these threads of my experience have come together, and it makes me a really strong candidate. So got to do it. It's
Well,
really important. It is a decisive election, this one.
for sure. This election is going to be one for all parties, really, where it's really determining the future of every party, determining the future of the Conservative Party, the Liberal Party, the NDP, the Bloc Québécois, who gained lots of attention last time.
They
It'll
do.
be really decisive for everybody to see the Green Party as well. It'll be interesting to see how every party comes out of
Mm.
this because every party has their own problems right now. Our next segment is called Serving as an Elected Official, where we will talk about Emily's goals to become an elected official. So, my first question is, what is your favorite part about the community you want to represent, which is Burlington?
Mm. Well, maybe you've not been to Burlington, but it sits on the shores of Lake Ontario. So it is a lakefront community and it's simply beautiful in its landscape. So we are just west of Toronto, Mississauga, Oakville, and then Burlington. So we have a beautiful landscape. We have the Niagara Escarpment right at our doorstep and just wonderful people. So I am a member of the Burlington Together Facebook group, and there's almost 16,000 people there. And what's neat about that group is that it really represents the people of Burlington, that cross section, and people helping each other, people asking questions, people being supportive, not just through this pandemic, but just being inclusive. Like whether you've lived here your whole life and you know everyone and everything, or whether you've just arrived and you need, help moving a new sofa up the stairs, or you need, help. Can someone come with a pickup truck? Like it's really inclusive, and we deserve good government. We deserve good representation. So yeah, that's why. I mean, I love this community, and I really want to represent its voice in the House of Commons.
You know, when we look at the House of Commons and when we look at MPs, some people seem to forget, and it always bothers me, that the MP should be elected because of themselves, not elected because of the leader of the party. They
Yeah,
should be elected
yeah,
as the representative, the person that best represents
yeah,
the riding, really, the person that's been in the riding, that lives in the riding, that knows the riding, and really fundamentally the role of an MP is just being a representative for your community in parliament and doing what you think will work best for your community.
yeah. Some very wise MPs, sitting MPs, who I spoke to before I applied to be a candidate, said to me, you need to spend the majority of your time in your riding. Those are the people you need to listen to, and and understand their concerns and their needs, whether they're small things that you can fix on the moment, or whether they're bigger things that you need to take somewhere else for consultation and support. But those are the people you serve, and that is honestly lost on many politicians, right? Like they're off trying to meet their own agenda, and your residents and your riding are the important people in your world and your job.
For sure, and it's probably very easy to get lost in terms of what
Yeah.
you're elected for, especially if you're in government. And obviously it's hard to juggle being a minister and MP and
Yeah.
whatever, but you need to just really focus on the community. And I think that's what we need to see more of in politics today.
Yeah.
The second question is, what do you hope to achieve as an elected official?
Okay, well, that's a really important question, and one I've been asked at the door often. I guess what I'm hearing is that constituents are disillusioned with government, right? They don't trust, they don't feel they're heard. They really want to have representation that listens to them. And so, that's the first thing I want to do, is be that MP that they see as authentic, that they can trust, that's responsible. And that's really giving service to their constituency. That's the first thing. I've heard so many people say, oh, why do I even vote? It doesn't matter. I don't, my vote doesn't count. And we have a list of about 20, a dozen ridings anyway in the last election that were lost by the Conservatives by less than 300 votes. So I'm saying to all of you Conservative supporters, your vote really does matter, right? So get out there and vote. So from what am I going to do as an elected official? Right now, we're sort of coming to the end of a pandemic, happily, and we've seen a lot of businesses in trouble. We've seen a lot of employees lose their job. And so, my first thing is going to be working on supporting small businesses and manufacturers across all sectors. and really making the landscape, positive for entrepreneurs and investors. Because here's the thing, if they're working, if they're confident that the government is going to let them get to their business and they can hire employees who are going to show up and they're going to earn a paycheck, those employees are going to go out and spend the money in the community. And that whole thing is that free market engine that churns, right? And so that's how we're going to get back on track. So that's the first thing I'm going to do really is apply all of those good conservative plans and policies to get local businesses back up and confident and working again.
Well, that really is something that I think we need to focus on no matter who wins the election.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
everything about this election, I think, will be about pandemic recovery. I mean, you
Yeah.
see in the conservative plan, it's basically a pandemic recovery plan. And we
Yeah.
see all the different parties of even provincially and municipally, everything as elections are coming up, it's all going to be how do we recover? How do we get the economy going again?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that really is it. And I think that that's what needs to be focused on as
Yeah.
the election
Everybody.
comes, and
Yeah.
everybody, and even whoever the next government is. Like you said before, it was hard working together. Well, not working together, but in the past, it wasn't, it
Yeah.
was more bearable to see each government, no matter
Yeah.
what it was. That
Yeah.
needs to return, I think. So just working together for the greater good. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that's important. So we're going to go into our last segment, which is called Politics Are All Around Us, where we
Okay.
will talk about the world of politics around us. So very quickly, this question shouldn't take too long, but so who is or was another politician that inspires you, or if there's a couple of them that you sort of have inspired you or you look towards?
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I could pick Winston Churchill, who governed through one of the most challenging times in our civilization, I guess. But I'm going to pick someone closer to home, and that would be sitting MP Glenn Motz. Right? He's an Alberta MP. He rides tall in the saddle, like 6'5" or something, I think, maybe even taller. And he was involved in law enforcement for almost 30 years. So you'd kind of think that after 30 years of serving the community in that way, he'd just kind of go into retirement, enjoy his kids and his grandkids. And no, he decided to become an MP, and he won in a by-election, I think, anyway, a by-election. And why I pick him is because he, in my interactions and when I see him in the House, in the debate sections, he's very honest, very responsible. He acts with the utmost of integrity, and I really honor that. Like, I think that's an amazing role model for me, even though I know there are issues that really are, that get him hot under the collar. He always is respectful. He produces the facts, and yeah, that's one person I'd pick. Yeah,
For sure.
Glenn Motz.
There's lots of great people that we see that have such interesting stories that decide to get involved in
Mhm.
politics, and that really is something to look towards and look up to sometimes. So what do you think is
Oh,
one issue that needs to be focused on more in our politics in Canada?
well, an issue that really has hit the radar more recently, honestly, is human trafficking. It's a serious, heart-wrenching issue, and I became more aware of the fact that it occurs near me when someone was arrested and was allegedly involved in human trafficking for almost 2 decades, like right up the street, a business owner. And I thought, wait, how did I miss this? What more do I need to know, and how do I find out? And I sat in on a town hall with Marilyn Gladu and some survivors of human trafficking, and I was shocked to hear that last year, when we were all supposed to be locked down, human trafficking increased by 44%. I mean, it's happening right, in our parking lots of stores, in our homes, on phones of young people, and that needs to be given a bigger focus. And I'm encouraged to see that our Ontario provincial government has just put out a new curriculum that kind of makes young people aware of the signs that they may be groomed for human trafficking. So that's one step to get people before they enter. Law enforcement needs to be supported in order to identify and make charges and make those charges stick. And we have to stop the people who would be looking for this kind of activity. Anyway, that is something I think that we at all levels of government need to be looking at.
For
It's
sure.
horrific.
For sure. It really is a terrible issue that really needs to be focused on more
Yeah.
in our governments and in our society. So that is
And we
all.
have, oh, sorry. And we have First Nations people saying that, our missing women are being trafficked, and where are they? And so, it's happening with across cultures, and we need to fix this.
Definitely. So that is all for today. Thank you, Emily, for joining me. If you liked today's interview, make sure to check out our other interview with Emily on Instagram for top 5 and 5 when that comes out. If you're watching this on the day it comes out, it'll be on Friday. So 2 days after the release, if you're watching it. So to stay
Thank
updated,
you.
make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at VCalla 2021. Check my website out at vincenzocalla.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, and choose to get notifications here on YouTube. So until the next video, I'm Vincenzo Calla, signing out.